Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football YouTube channel. Welcome to the Arsenal News Show. It is Thursday. The Premier League is back. The North London derby awaits and we have plenty to talk about, plenty to catch up on, and it's good to see so many of you back. Apologies, I've been away. It's the international break. Turns out there was quite a lot to talk about over it, but we are here. Pekka is here, Ethan Udall is here, Vivi Vlad is here, you'll love to see it, Taylor, Alki, FFS, PPL, Cheyenne, Oslo, Guna, Logical Nonsense. Welcome. Curtis is here, Finchy as well. Odegaard, 3 assists on Sunday. Who says no? I mean, I would more than take 3 Odegaard assists on Sunday if it was offered to me. Has the stream started? It has now. What's up, my goat? It's good to see you. Are you still eating carbonara for all your meals? No. But I am the carbonara connoisseur. Obviously, if you've not seen the Italian content, it was I put some of it on Instagram. It was mainly on my TikTok. But if I go to a restaurant and carbonara is on the menu and I've never tried the carbonara at that restaurant, I have to do it. So obviously, when I'm in places in Italy that I've never been to and they're normally going to serve carbonara, I end up eating a lot of carbonara. But it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. What can I say? 5-0 to the Arsenal, all from corners, all in stoppage time, just for the giggles. I mean, I'll take 1-0. I would happily take a 1-0 set piece goal. But we'll talk about the North London derby a little bit later in the show. The carbonara room. That sounds like my cup of tea. Do you not get sick of it? No, I do not. One thing I did get sick of, not sick of, but it's sad when you order a carbonara and it's not a very good one. When it's like the sort of one that you could just get in the UK. Aaron has been a member for 26 months. Aaron, what an absolute legend. Over 2 years of being a member of the channel. I hope you're doing well. Just says, have a good stream, lad. I appreciate it. What an absolute goat. Fireheart of love. Apologies for being late. No problem at all. No need to apologize. Great to see you. It's great to see you. Look, we're going to talk about injuries. We're going to talk about Bukayo Saka contract. We're going to talk about who's potentially returning for the North London derby, and if not on Sunday, within the next week or so. Apples or bananas? Apples for me. I do love an apple. Get Saka on assists. An assist, hopefully. I somehow got a membership while you were gone, thanks to whoever gifted it. Did someone gift memberships whilst I was away? I'm not sure. Now I feel like I might have missed something. I don't know. By the way, if you aren't already subscribed, please do subscribe. If you've not already liked the stream, please do click the like button. It does massively help. And if you're watching on the replay, please go and do the hype thing in the comments. I appreciate it. Was having such a blast, and now you're back to ruin it. F off, mate. Nid, welcome back. Welcome back. You missed me. Look, let's talk about the Saka contract. So this is the first big thing. Now, this came out last night from Fabrice Hawkins. Fabrice Hawkins is a very good, very reliable French journalist. Now, admittedly, I'm not entirely sure why he would get the scoop on this one necessarily, but he said last night, Bukayo Saka has agreed in principle to extend his contract with Arsenal until 2030. The 24-year-old winger entered the final 2 years of his previous deal. After William Saliba, the Gunners will secure Bukayo Saka. I do have a Discord, yes, Cheyenne. The link to the Discord is down below. You can go and join the Arsenal conversation down there. So there you go. Now, couple of interesting things with this. Bukayo Saka being the last of the big names to sign a new contract is unsurprising. He will want to be the highest paid player, and to ensure that that happens, you have to be the last one to sign. What is interesting is that previously, I think the last 2 Saka contracts, I might be mistaken, but I think the last 2 Saka contracts have been 3-year deals. This one, if it's until 2030, is effectively a 4.5-year deal. So that, along with William Saliba, who has done the same, means not only are they signing new contracts, they're committing to even longer than they have done previously, which shows you, A, how well run the club is right now, but B, how committed they are to giving their prime years to Arsenal, which is very, very exciting. Any HOA hints on Saka? if it's not HOA, it's not legit. Well, I think he did do some. I think he did previously drop a couple of hints about it. He's not done anything specific, but we have a goon cord for the goon platoon in the goon corner. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Hand of Arsenal's here. You love to see it. Big up, Rory. The report last night was premature about Saka, but it's really close. Berta is doing a madness. Exclusive. That is what you get in this place. An absolute exclusive. So, a bit premature from Fabrice Hawkins. However, it's very close, which is very exciting. Hand of Arsenal, the absolute GOAT. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are doing well. Lots, I would imagine, a very busy man at the moment with the amount of different injuries and injury news that we've got to keep up on. So, in fact, speaking, the literal next thing in the document is a tweet from Hand of Arsenal today. This is about Martin Odegaard possibly returning. Hand of Arsenal said there is a possibility for Martin Odegaard to be available for the Tottenham game. It will be a late call for him and others. Arsenal also planning on unveiling a Tifo at the North London derby. The design was supporter-driven with current and former players featuring on it. Now, on Martin Odegaard, I can't imagine he's going to start the game. I would be very surprised if any of the returning players start the game. However, the more options we've got off the bench, the better. And Martin Odegaard, I think we've massively missed him. I think people have massively underestimated how much we've missed him. I thought he was playing really well. And the way that he was working with Victor Gyökeres was kind of the best we've seen from Gyökeres in terms of being fed those balls in behind. So that is very exciting news. And look, if he's back at least for the bench against Tottenham, that means that he should be available to potentially start against Chelsea. And I think the Chelsea game for me is the one I'm more worried about. I think Chelsea away is going to be a very difficult game. So, yeah, very exciting news on Martin Odegaard. I'm Max. Oh, yeah, I'm Max Evans. Have you changed your name? Or has it always been I'm Max Evans? Anyway, Max, thank you very, very much for being a member for 19 months. Unbelievable. Says, would like to use this sub-message to give a huge shout-out to the Hand, becoming an absolute master of the art. Massive respect. I second that. Hand of Arsenal is exceptional at what he does. And I'm not just saying that because he's in the chat. But he is... The best thing is that he's incredibly responsible, right? You know, you get in the nose that come and go. There's a responsibility to it. And Hand of Arsenal has demonstrated that he can handle the responsibility. So credit to him. This Tifo better be generational. It better be better than the PSG one. That's all I'm going to say. There is naturally, because of what happened with the PSG Tifo, there is going to be scrutiny. Right, there is going to be scrutiny on this, and so they've got to get it right. They have to get it right. Hopefully they do. I'm excited for it. I've got a ticket as well. Somehow I won the ballot for the North London derby, so I will be there, and I'll get a picture of the Tifo. If it's not better than the PSG one, we're getting cooked for eternity. I mean, it couldn't really be worse than the PSG one, unless it was just unless they made it blue, unless they made it Spurs colours. Did you see Indy Kyler said that we're keeping an eye on Semenyo and we can bid at any moment? Yeah, but Indy Kyler is a fraud, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Rory always looks like he's trying so hard not to smile. I get it though. HOA in my chat would make me do that. Yeah, he's a legend. He is a legend. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Honestly, the Tifo is sensational. Trust me. That is coming from Hand of Arsenal. You've got to trust it. You've got to trust it. I'm backing it. I'm excited for it. Emilio is in the building. Good to see you. Jim, thank you very, very much for being a member for 4 months. Thank God for the end of the international break. Won my first ballot as well for the Palace Carabao Cup tie. Yeah, I think the vast majority of people probably won the ballot for the Carabao Cup tie, especially because of when it is. Like, a lot of people will have started leaving London for Christmas at that point. So, yeah, that is... but hey, you got a game. Explain the adverts in your TikToks. All will be revealed tomorrow. That is all I can say. iHeats, thank you very, very much for the €5 super chat. As a screamer against Spurs, we will be there. Let it all work out. It's written. It's written. It was written that he would score against Crystal Palace. It is written that he will score against Spurs. His first North London derby as a Hairlander, with everything that happened over the summer, and this one he can properly celebrate. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. It'll be limbs. When are you dropping the news? Tomorrow. There's a couple of things, but all will be revealed. Did you see Hand of Arsenal said Odegaard faces a late fitness call? I did see that. We spoke about that about 5 minutes ago, Connor. But yeah, late fitness call for Martin Odegaard. So it was, so with Hand of Arsenal, you've got the reality, you've got the truth. Charlie Wyatt in The Sun says Martin Odegaard has returned to full training and is ready to be part of the squad against Tottenham on Sunday. That is, I think, jumping the gun a little bit, but it's sounding promising. It is sounding promising nonetheless. Did you see that the FC Bottle Job podcast rebranded from talking about football to only talking about Spurs? I did. They should have left the name as Bottle Job. It was the perfect name for a Spurs podcast. But yeah, I did. How about Havertz? Well, look. So these are the remaining attacking players, right? You've got Victor Gyökeres, you've got Kai Havertz, you've got Martinelli, you've got Madueke, you've got Gabriel Jesus. Gyökeres, we never fully got the full extent of what his injury was or how long it was going to keep him out for. I don't know if he's going to be back within the next week, 2 weeks. If it was any longer than that, I feel like we'd have heard how bad it was. It doesn't sound from anything we've heard like he's going to be back for Sunday. Kai Havertz. Now, this one's interesting because Julian Nagelsmann came out and said that Havertz had suffered a setback. We don't know when that setback was. So previously, we had heard that Havertz may be back in time for the Sunderland game, right? There was originally people talking about him maybe being back in time for the Sunderland game and for the international break. He then doesn't go on the international break. Maybe the setback actually happened a few weeks ago, and that was why he then didn't go on the international break. And that's what Julian Nagelsmann was talking about. If not, then we're maybe another couple of weeks away from Havertz, which would be a real shame. It's been a long time for Havertz. It has been a long time. Realistically, you're going to have to be patient with him coming back because it's effectively, if he comes, let's say he comes back at the start of December, right? That's a 10-month absence. Between the start of February, which was when he did his hamstring, all right, he came back in pre-season and he got back to fitness in pre-season, played a few minutes against Man United. He's been out ever since. It's effectively 10 months of not playing proper first-team football. So that is going to take a while for him to get back up to full speed, I think. When someone says NLD, North London, it looks a little bit like Nid, yeah. Poor Nid. Gabby J looking savage in training. Yeah, but again, he's been out for a year. We've got to be honest. Gabriel Jesus may never get back to the level he was at. For me, I'm with Gabriel Jesus, I have no expectation. I really have no expectation. And even if we get to a point where we can bring him on with 15, 20 minutes to go, and we're trying to find a goal in a game, and the chaos that he can create in the box, if he's lost a burst of pace, to an extent, I thought he had already lost a bit of a burst of speed. If he's lost a bit more of that, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Martinelli is another one that I think is so. If you go back to Hand of Arsenal's tweet, it will be a late call for him and others. I think Martinelli is in that bracket of others. I think there will be a late call on him. Again, he was close, according to Arteta, to making it for the Sunderland game. And I think it might be the same with Noni Madueke. So in a dream world, for me, actually, Martinelli would be fit enough to start. I don't really want Mikel Merino starting. I would love to have the ability to, even without Gyökeres or Havertz, play Martinelli up top. At least Martinelli can press relentlessly. And that's it. So with all five of them, I don't think we're going to see Gyökeres or Havertz. Martinelli, Madueke, Odegaard, they could all make it to the bench. And having those players to come off the bench, those finishers, Could be the difference. It could be the difference in what is probably going to be a very tight, turgid game of football if Thomas Frank plays the way that he wants to. Loved Kimo's Avengers video. I don't think I've seen that. I think I need to go and watch that. I do normally like Kimo's videos, so I'd assume it's a good one. Is Arteta's conference on Friday? Yeah, it will be. We should have. Well, look, we won't have much more news tomorrow. Realistically, we know what Arteta's like. Ahead of a North London derby, he's not suddenly going to be like, yeah, Martinelli's good to go. He's going to start. And Madueke is going to be on the bench. Like, he's not going to do that. But we will maybe hear a little bit more from that press conference tomorrow. Any time and date on Noni? No, we don't know for sure. But again, I think he's on the verge. Because he was also on the verge of making the Sunderland game previously. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I think if Odegaard is fit, he should play 10, Eze off the left and Trossard up top. Yeah, I would also do that. I would do exactly that if Odegaard was fit enough to start the game. The issue is you've got these players coming back from injury, but it's just relentless, right? It's Spurs, and then 3 days later it's Bayern, and then 3 days later it's Chelsea, and then 3 days later it's Club Brugge, and then 3 days later it's Villa. We cannot rush them back straight into starting games. I think we've got to be sensible with it. But time will tell. And then, of course, the other injury is Big Gabby. And I've not really spoken about that on here yet since that happened. It's so frustrating, like, mainly just because it was so unnecessary. Like, I get annoyed by every international break, right? I don't like the international breaks. If a player gets injured on international duty in a game that matters, as annoying as it is, I'm like, I do not hold it against them playing for their country in a World Cup qualifier. And you look at some of the things that happened over the international break. You look at that moment for Kieran Tierney. How amazing was that moment for Kieran Tierney? Like, I would not want to take those moments away from those players because it's all about Arsenal. Gabriel's was in a friendly. Like, it just did not need to happen. And Brazil have a history. Of playing players that should not be playing in games because they don't care. And Militao got injured as well. So that was a joke. It was a joke. And it's frustrating. We do, however, have depth. We have options. We have Mosquera, we have Hincapié, we have Calafiori, who could play at centre-back, and then Miles Lewis-Skelly come in. They are basically the three main options. For me, Hincapié at left centre-back would be the solution straight off the bat. I think we've seen it before with Arteta. He prefers a naturally left-footed left centre-back and a right-footed right centre-back. We have seen Saliba right centre-back, Mosquera left centre-back before. It was only against Port Vale, though. And I think Hincapié has the experience. You know, if you're talking about bringing a player into these huge... into this huge week and these huge games, I think Hincapié's experience at Bayer Leverkusen and at international level, I think the aggressive sort of style of his game combined with the recovery pace that he's got, I just think it makes sense for it to be him. Now, for me, the big thing that we're going to lose out on is aerial dominance. That for me is the big thing that we're going to be missing without Gabriel. And we saw that before. You know, when Kivior came in, in the final few months of last season, and we were all really worried, and he actually did really well, and I have nothing but respect for what Jakub Kivior did. Undoubtedly, we were weaker at set pieces, both offensively and defensively, but mainly defensively. And without Kai Havertz still, that does make us a little bit more vulnerable. And that's maybe where you play Mosquera instead, because Mosquera is better aerially than Hincapié, but it's a difficult one. It is a difficult one. 200 subs away from 26k. Let's go. Yeah, look, I mean, there's, by the way, 250 of you in here, considering we've not streamed in like 10 days, is unreal. Absolutely unreal. So I appreciate that a lot. Hincapié back from Ecuador, long old trip that. Well, the only useful thing was that I don't actually think, in fact, let me, where have I gone? I don't think Ecuador played in Ecuador. I have a feeling, yeah, they played against New Zealand. I think it was in New York. I don't know if it will say it on here. Yeah, New York. So he didn't have to fly back from South America. He flew back from New York, which is obviously, still not ideal, but New York to London, you can do in like 6 hours. And that game was on, was it Tuesday night it was on? When was that game? Does it not say? I think it was like, I think it was basically, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, Wednesday morning, basically. So that game would have finished at like 3:30. He'd have made it back by the middle of the day on Wednesday. He'd have made it back by the middle of the day on Wednesday. That's not horrendous. It's not horrendous. He did play 90 minutes in both games, though, which is obviously it's obviously not ideal. But I don't know. Look, I'd be more than happy with Mosquera. I'd be whatever the choice is. Whether it is Mosquera, whether it's Hincapié, whether it's Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back and Calafiori at centre back, I think that's by far and away the least likely of the three options. I'll be happy. The big thing for me is this, right? On one hand, it's it's not exciting, but it's intriguing to know that we're going to see, one, if not both, of Mosquera and Hincapié given real consistent minutes over the next 6-8 weeks, however long Gabriel is out for. The big thing for me is that when we get to the middle of December and we're around the time where maybe Big Gabby is on the verge of coming back, hopefully, I don't want to be sat there going, oh, when's Gabby back? When's Gabby back? We need Gabby back. I want to be sat there going, oh, this is interesting. Do you reckon Gabby's going to walk straight back into the team? Or has Hincapié done enough? Has Mosquera done enough? That's the position I want to be in. We'll wait and see. I believe that one of the two of them at least will have enough about them to make it work and to be good. So, lads, it's Tottenham. It is Tottenham. It is Tottenham. Look, I think we'll do the Spurs. The North London preview will be tomorrow. I think it's going to be a pretty tough game, like in terms of tough to watch. I think realistically, Spurs are going to turn up. The way Thomas Frank has set them up, it's gonna be 4-5-1. It's gonna, they haven't really got a 10. It's probably going to be Bergvall in the 10 with Palinha and Bentancur sitting in deep. It's going to be tough to break down. And not having that aerial threat of Gabriel is one weapon that we've lost. But I feel like there's certain players. I have a feeling Bukayo Saka is going to step up. I feel like, Saka has probably been one of the more underwhelming players for Arsenal this season. And that's not to say he's had a bad season. But when you know the level that Saka can play at, relative to that level, he's just been a bit below it. But I think he is working his way back. And I think Spurs could be the game where he goes, yeah, we're back. Don't you worry about it. Tottenham have loads of injuries as well. They do, although most of them aren't like... Obviously, they've got the long-term ones, right? Kulusevski, Maddison. But there's a lot of injuries on their list. A lot of those players aren't actually injured. So if you go on to like FOTMob and you look at the injuries that they've supposedly got, Romero's listed as being injured, he's going to be fine. Kudus is listed as being injured, he's going to be fine. Bergvall is listed as being injured, he's going to be fine. So there's a fair few of them. Like, I can show it. Yeah, I can show it. But I reckon by tomorrow this will have updated and far fewer of them will be on this list. So Archie Gray is injured. Davies makes no difference. This guy, who is he? Dragston is injured. Maddison is injured. Bergvall, I think, will be fine. Basuma, I think, will be fine. Kulusevski is out. Solanke, I think, is still out. Kudus will be fine. They're even saying, in fact, they've taken Romero off this list at this point. Romero's not even on this list anymore. And Kolo Muani apparently trained with a special face mask on today as well. So he could be fine as well. And then the difference when you look at ours, I mean, Calafiori is going to be fine. But when you look at ours, other than Jesus, these are all like big players that would feature in the game. And you look at what they can still start with. I don't think it'll be this. I think it'll be that back four, and then it'll be that. It won't be Sarr. Sarr is potentially injured. I think it'll be Palhinha, Bentancur, Bergvall, Kudus off the right, Xavi Simons off the left, and Richarlison up top. That's what I think they'll play with. Pretty sure Porro is still recovering from that Trossard duel. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't start, to be fair. I don't know where Destiny Udogie is, but they might start with Jed Spencer and Udogie, to be honest, which would be more secure defensively for them. It's an interesting one. Takai is the new Messi. I think he's a centre-back. I think he is actually... Who actually is he? I'm pretty sure he's a centre-back, no? Who is this guy? Yeah, he's 100. He's quite tall. That is tall. That's like 6'2" or something, isn't it? Yeah, centre-back. They bought him from the J League. They bought him from the Japanese league. Literally no idea. He's 21 years old. So, Kota Takai. There you go. Simmons versus Timber. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. No, the only thing I'm worried about is scoring. In my opinion, and again, we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but in my opinion, this is ending either 0-0 or like 1-0 to Arsenal. I don't really see any alternatives to that. Elite ball knowledge. How much of Kota Takai have you watched, Pekka? Be honest. How much of Kota Takai have you watched? Have a feeling that the defense is not the biggest problem. It's getting the goals. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Realistically, losing Gabriel, we've lost more offensively than defensively. Like, Hincapié is an incredibly strong defender. He's quicker than Gabriel as well. If anything, Hincapié makes us less vulnerable to counterattacks. Like, if you're talking about teams that are going to sit in and try and counterattack against us, genuinely, Hincapié makes us less vulnerable to that. But he makes us slightly more vulnerable to long balls and set pieces. So that's the trade-off. How has Michael Oliver been given this as his first Arsenal game since the MLS red card? Don't get me started. The thing is, right, the Premier League has a massive, massive issue where there are very few top-level referees that they trust to referee the big games. And so Michael Oliver ends up on a lot of them. The other issue is not only having Michael Oliver as the referee, but having Stuart Atwell as the VAR. Stuart Atwell was the VAR that overturned our penalty against Fulham incorrectly, in my opinion, and has a history of making poor decisions against us. So yeah, we've been hit with an absolute double whammy in that sense, but you know, we'll see how it goes. Are you going to the game? Yeah, I'll be at the game. I will be at the game. What do you think about us bringing in Quinton Timber to match up with Jurriën? To be honest, I've not seen a huge amount of Quinton Timber. Like, you know, I don't think he is quite as good as Jurriën Timber. But yeah, look, I mean, I don't think we're going to do much business. I see people talking about Semenyo, about Rodrigo. We spent a lot of money in the summer, like more than we could really stretch to. Like, Berta had to be creative with the way that he managed to do the Hincapié deal. And that Hincapié deal is going to become permanent next summer. So that's already money spent. I really don't think we're going to be active in the January transfer window. The only one that would kind of make sense to me would be Semenyo, because it's a market opportunity, which the club seem to love. If we don't get him, someone like Liverpool will. And it's the one position where I think, you know, you can sell arguably two of Trossard, Martinelli, and Jesus. And within that, you get a lot of money off the books in terms of wages, and you can make a bit of money. So, yeah, Semenyo is the only sort of major signing that I see happening because of how unique that situation is. Otherwise, I don't really see it. Finally got tickets to a game, going to the Palace Carabao Cup game. Nice. Yeah, I've got a bad feeling that the Palace Carabao Cup game is going to be not an empty stadium, but I think there's going to be a fair few empty seats. We'll see. Rory, send the Discord link. You have an amazing community. Yes, thank you. It should be down in the description below. From here, I can't send it, annoyingly. Can any of the mods put the Discord link in the chat? But I appreciate it. Hand of Arsenal in the Discord. Let's go. Norwegian players commenting. My cappy on Odegaard's post, almost as if he's a leader on and off the pitch without shouting, astonishing some of that. What do you mean? Norwegian players commenting. My cappy on Odegaard's post, almost as if he's a leader. Well, I saw the stuff about what Odegaard did in the dressing room at halftime against Estonia. I mean, I've always said it. He is a leader by example, and there's a brand of people, right, who for them, shouty, loud man equals leader, right? So whoever they just think is the loudest, most aggressive player, that's the leader. You don't need that in football, not anymore. And I think Odegaard is the epitome of a leader by example. And they spoke about the fact he kept all of the heads calm, he encouraged them, he gave them tactical tweaks. It's perfect. Every single player at Arsenal voted for Odegaard to be captain. The rest is noise. Exactly. And you hear it all the time. You hear it from academy products that have spoken about Odegaard putting his arm around their shoulder. You hear about new players that arrive and Odegaard helps them settle in. You see it on the pitch. You know, even when our backs are against the wall, he is the one that's trying to keep everything going. The Roy Keane archetype. But you don't need to be Roy Keane. And people bring it up all the time, but arguably one of the most successful captains in the Premier League in terms of winning a treble was Ilkay Gundogan. Well, he wasn't your stereotypical shouty, loud, aggressive man. He was much more like Odegaard in the sense that he led by example. So, you know, it's always an interesting one when it gets brought up. I think it exposes people a little bit. Odegaard is a manager on the pitch, not a general. Yeah. But also, our squad now is stacked with leaders. You look at the England squad, right? Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice are both part of the leadership team in the England squad. So outside of Odegaard, you've got these players that are leaders in a different sense. And yeah, Declan Rice does have those qualities. He doesn't need the captain's armband for those qualities to exist. You see it with Gabriel. You know, it's... The captain's armband is in some ways irrelevant, but I'm glad that Martin Odegaard has it. We have 6 captains. We've got, honestly, there's barely a player in the squad at this point that you don't think is a captain. Mikel Merino is an experienced leader. Zubimendi. You know, it's across the board. Odegaard exposes a few, both on the captaincy and how important he is to our game. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'm excited. My message was sarcastic, by the way. What was your message? I can't remember what it was. Oh, that one. Oh, yeah. Well, it got us onto a good conversation. Norgaard's a future manager. He does the walkover to Arteta at every break. We are elite. Yeah, Norgaard's an incredibly intelligent footballer. Rice makes other players better around him. Very selfless player. And for example, Saka is a leader by example. Yeah, 100%. The player that I would want as captain more than Odegaard would have been Tierney. Sadly, injuries ruined that. Yeah, I mean, I was so happy for Tierney. That moment for Scotland, like you can't underestimate kind of how difficult it's been for Tierney. Everything he went through with all of the injuries, like the way his Arsenal career went, it was such a shame, and it shouldn't have gone that way. But yeah, for him to have that moment and, you know, a World Cup, pretty cool. Experience is imperative, just like the old squad back in 2003, hence the importance of helping others. Yeah, 100%. And Odegaard's experience within that, by the way, when you look at the likes of Max Dowman and Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly, these youngsters coming through, his experience is invaluable. His experience of being the 15-year-old wonder kid that everyone's talking about, and he gets this amazing move And then it gets difficult quickly. And there's a lot of scrutiny, and people are saying that you should be playing, but, you know, the manager, like, his experience around that and navigating that and how he came out the other side of it, that will be fantastic. Just got to pray to him he doesn't get injured before the World Cup. It would kill me. It would kill me. Do you think we're going for a proper Rice backup, considering we don't have anyone in our squad who can play that role to that capacity and quality? It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I do think, you know, when we lost Gabriel, you know, you look at it and you go, okay, Mosquera, Hincapié, like, they cover the majority of what it is that he does. I think in the case of Declan Rice, he is probably at this point the player that you go, if we lost him for a big period of time, we'd struggle to replace him and struggle to replicate him. So it could be. But Declan Rice is legitimately a £100+ million player. So in order to have that cover, you're going to have to go someone young. You're going to have to take someone that's got the potential. I think really that has the physicality, and that was something that I was worried about. But again, it's difficult to do. Should we start questioning the medical team? I don't think so. I think it's very difficult. You know, contact injuries are unfortunate and unavoidable largely. The Madueke one, the Odegaard one. In terms of the muscular injuries, look, a lot of these players were coming back from other injuries. That makes it difficult. And then you get cluster injuries in the same position, and then you kind of have to end up overplaying players. Like, you know, it's easy to say we should have rested Victor Gyökeres more. When and for who? It's difficult. It is difficult. But if there are questions to be asked there, you would imagine Mikel Arteta will do it. He is the ultimate perfectionist. He, you know, you talk about removing the tunnel at the Emirates to build the atmosphere. Like, he thinks about everything to the most minor detail. So, yeah, I would imagine if there is something going wrong there, it will be something that they try and fix and improve. Questioning the medical team. Do individuals question their GP when having the cold? Yeah, I mean, yeah, fair point. Slightly different, but I know what you're saying. Honestly, think MLS could do it. Obviously, not to the level, but I think he could. I think we'll see him gradually move there more and more, to be fair. Bring me Timber number 2 as a Rice backup. Yeah, maybe Quinton Timber does it. I guarantee Arteta's already thought of 10 times the questions and asked them. Yeah, of course he will. Of course he will have done. And undoubtedly, we have been more cautious this season. You know, look at the amount of times where players have gone off in games and we'd be like, oh my God, they must be injured. And then actually, no, they just didn't want to push it and they're available for the next game. Like, I do think we are being much more careful with it. And to an extent, we've just been a little bit unlucky. I missed the start. Is Odegaard back? According to Hand of Arsenal, there is a possibility for Martin Odegaard to be available for the Tottenham game. It will be a late call for him and others. So, yeah, hopefully, at least, hopefully, potentially on the bench. Yeah, we're nearly at 300 viewers, which is crazy. Honestly, incredibly grateful. Like, I know the way it works with YouTube. If you disappear, people might not necessarily be there when you come back. They've gone and found someone else to watch. So I do appreciate that there are 300 of you here. If you're not already, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 26,000 subscribers. And crucially, there's not an international break until March. We are full steam ahead, 2 games a week, daily streams, something coming tomorrow that is going to be very cool. And I'm absolutely excited for it. Very excited for it. The Goon Platoon leader, Alki, is back. Yeah, Alki's in the building. You love to see it. You're worth listening to. Folks will always be here. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. A big fan from the USA. You love to see it. We could never replace you. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. You've been replaced. I watch Seb now. You watch a Spurs fan. Blech. To be honest, you're a very good podcast with logic and common sense. I appreciate that, Rodney. I do try. What do you think about Nwaneri's involvement this season? Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. I've seen a couple of things about Nwaneri potentially looking at a loan move in January. I'd be very surprised if that happens. The difficulty is a loan move abroad for me, I don't think is worth it at this point. I honestly believe that the Premier League at this point is so different to foreign leagues that Like, you can't replicate it. And I just don't think that he would learn enough going to a league abroad. If you look at, for example, I've seen people say, oh, like Dortmund, right? Send him on loan to Dortmund. But you look at the way that players come from the Bundesliga, particularly in those sort of attacking areas where in the Bundesliga, there is nowhere near the level of pressure in terms of physically in the game pressure on attacking players. The intensity isn't there. You have far more time on the ball. You've seen the way that Sancho coming back to the Premier League from Dortmund struggled. Florian Wirtz we're seeing struggle. Time and time again, in fact, we've seen attacking Bundesliga players struggle. I just don't know if it's worth it. And if it's not worth it, then you're looking at keeping him in the Premier League on a loan, because the Championship would be a terrible move for him. He'd just get kicked off the park, wouldn't learn anything, would be useless. Then you're looking at the Premier League. Well, where in the Premier League does he go? You don't want to give him to any of our rivals. You don't want to send him to a team in the sort of lower half that aren't going to have much of the ball, and a lot of the work that he's going to be asked to do is going to be off-the-ball work and defensive work. And so it's just like, there's maybe like 3 clubs in the Premier League that I would think, yeah, if he goes to them, he'll kind of be able to play in a similar way to how he would at Arsenal, although not to the same level. You're looking at like maybe a Brighton. He could go to a Brighton and that could work. But I'm just not sure it's what I think. He's the level of player for me where, in the same way that Man City didn't send Phil Foden out on any loans because they thought genuinely the best way to develop him was to just continue developing at the club, I think that's the same with Ethan Nwaneri, as much as he might want game time. And truthfully, he's not going to the World Cup. Like, anyone that's claiming that he wants to go and get game time because he's got his eyes on the World Cup, we're looking at the England World Cup squad where Morgan Rogers, Jude Bellingham, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden are all fighting for the same place. And that's where Nwaneri would be fighting. No offense to Nwaneri, I think his potential is absolutely there. He's not beating the 4 of them or 2 of them to the World Cup squad. So there's just no rush. And it's difficult because him and Miles Lewis-Skelly, they played so much last season. It's difficult to then take a step back and not be playing as much. But that's life. That is life. And, I don't think we've seen enough from Nwaneri, particularly off the ball, to demonstrate that he should be playing more. Devin, thank you very, very much for the 19 months of membership. What's coming tomorrow? Cheesecake reviews. Not cheesecake reviews. All will be revealed. All will be revealed. But thank you very much for the 19 months. That is incredible. That is incredible support. I really do massively appreciate it. Rory and Invert the Wing podcast. If I launched a podcast with Invert the Wing, I think it would last less time than Halo, that thing that Sky launched. I don't think it would go too well. Carbonara mukbang. I'd happily do a carbonara mukbang, to be fair. I would do a carbonara mukbang. Anyway, look, I'll leave you guessing on what's coming tomorrow. But all will be revealed in due course. Anyway, it is time for the quiz. Get your fingers on your keyboards. First person to get this right in the chat wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. The question is this, and it's a simple one. Who was Arsene Wenger's final Arsenal signing? Who was Arsene Wenger's final Arsenal signing? Simple as that. It was not Francis Jeffers. It was not Francis Jeffers. We did see Calafiori at centre-back in pre-season, but I think Hincapié is still the better option. Yeah, but if you think in pre-season, we didn't have Hincapié at that point. So, but yeah, I think it'll be Hincapié. We'll see. It could very easily be Hincapié against Spurs and then Mosquera against Bayern Munich. We got 3 games in 6 days. Anyway, all of the answers are flooding in. It was, of course, January 2018, one Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and FFS PPL was first. Fellaini was second. Kokofa was third. Oslo Gunnar was fourth. And Nixie was fifth. So there you go. Congratulations. Someone said Dennis Bergkamp. Maybe misunderstood the question. Maybe he misunderstood the question, but it was Aubameyang. FFS PPL wins it. Congratulations to him. And that is going to be the end of a very enjoyable first stream back from the international break. Tomorrow, North London derby preview and the big announcement, which I'm very excited for. But other than that, I hope you all enjoy your evenings. Please do like, subscribe, join the Discord if you fancy continuing the conversation down in the description below. And other than that, I will catch you all tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.